Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are strapping in for what might be one of the most dense, verbose, and philosophically challenging pieces of music ever written.
It's a big one.
It is. We are plunging headfirst into the stream of consciousness that is Bob Dylan's lyrical masterpiece, It's All Right, Ma, I'm Only Bleeding.
It's just an amazing pick for a deep dive because, unlike a lot of protest songs that are really tied to a specific moment or a political figure, this one is built on these universal, timeless philosophical foundations.
That's right.
Our source material today is the definitive text, the complete official lyrics, and, maybe just as important, the metadata, the history of it, its incredible longevity on stage, which spans, almost half a century.
Yeah, exactly. And our mission today is, it's kind of a rescue operation. We are going into this overwhelming flow of poetry and paradox to pull out the essential knowledge nuggets for you.
To give you a shortcut.
A shortcut, exactly. A shortcut to understanding its structural brilliance, its core message, and critically, why Dylan himself felt it was so important to keep performing it for 50 years.
And that longevity is maybe the best insight we have. The track first appeared on the 1965 album, Bringing It All Back Home.
The electric pivot, a huge moment.
A huge moment, yeah. It shocked so many of his folk listeners. But this song, unlike some of the others on that album, has been a constant. We know it was first played live in September '64.
And it lasted all the way to October 2013.
Almost 5 decades.
5 decades and 772 live performances, according to the historical sources. And that number isn't just trivia, right? It says something about the song's function.
It's not just a popular song. It's a foundational text.
Yeah.
A recurring work that he clearly felt was necessary to revisit over and over again.
He was testing its relevance against changing times. And every time he performed it, he was basically reaffirming this manifesto of radical independence.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's unpack this monumental achievement. Let's start right at the beginning, where Dylan immediately tells us that reality is, completely upside down.
The song establishes its tone instantly, it's relentless, it's driven by contrast, and it creates this atmosphere where things are just fundamentally wrong.
You feel that right away in the first line. Darkness and the break of noon. Let's just break that down. Noon is the moment of maximum light, right?
It's the zenith.
And the break is usually dawn, the beginning of light. So to have darkness at the break of noon, that's just an instant violent sign that the clarity, the hope we expect from society is totally inverted.
It's not just corruption in the shadows. It's corruption at the core.
And that darkness, that disillusionment is everywhere. It says the shadow evens the silver spoon. So it's not just for the poor or the downtrodden.
No, it doesn't respect class or privilege at all. It eclipses the wealthy just as much as the vulnerable. It's a universal condition.
And then you get that incredible symmetry right after the silver spoon, which is, a symbol of luxury.
Inherited luxury, yeah.
You get the handmade blade, the child's balloon. The blade is violence, maybe desperation, self-defense. The balloon is just pure innocence, hope, fragility.
And the same shadow covers all three. Luxury, violence, and innocence. That's what makes the statement so powerful.
And then he confirms it, saying it eclipses both the sun and moon. It just negates all sources of light.
The darkness is total. It's complete.
It sets this incredibly suffocating tone, and it leads to that chilling conclusion of the first stanza, which is just a devastating statement about awareness. He concludes, to understand, too soon, there is no sense in trying.
The very act of seeing the truth of the world is immediately punished by realizing it's all futile.
It's like the understanding comes too early before you have the tools to handle it. It's a paralyzing insight.
It is.
So if the world is fundamentally broken and understanding that means there's no sense in trying, how do we possibly square that with the very next stanza, that famous mandate? Is he starting with nihilism and then just contradicting himself?
But that's the genius of the structure, isn't it? He presents the devastating truth first, and then immediately gives you the philosophical antidote.
The survival mandate.
Exactly, the central axis for the whole song. The first stanza is the external condition, the second is the internal command.
Okay, let's focus on that mandate then. The sources highlight what is probably the most quoted couplet for a reason. That he, not busy being born, is busy dying.
And this is so much more than a simple proverb. It's a mandate for constant, intentional renewal.
There's no middle ground.
None. Dylan completely removes the possibility of a neutral, static existence. If you are not actively moving forward, changing, evolving, being born over and over again, then you are, by default, decaying.
So inaction isn't neutral.
Inaction is participation in your own demise. That's what he's saying. It's a call to existential action, even in the face of total despair.
I love that. Inaction as participation in demise. So if we choose to be born, we have to know what's holding us back. And he points to the source of the resistance, right? These empty warnings.
Yes. Pointed threats, they bluff with scorn, and these warnings are torn from the fool's gold mouthpiece, the hollow horn.
That is just a devastating critique of rhetoric and false authority.
And it's why the song is always relevant. The warnings that hold you back are cheap imitations, fool's gold. The mouthpiece could be a politician, a broadcaster, a preacher.
Anyone speaking for an institution, and the horn is hollow.
Right. It's all volume, no substance. It's designed to intimidate you with noise, but the source itself is empty. It's manufactured fear.
So we've got darkness, futility, a mandate for change, and a warning to ignore the loud, hollow voices. Where does the emotional journey go from there?
Well, stanza 3 traces that trajectory. You follow Temptation's page, maybe the curiosity to see the truth, and you find yourself at war.
An internal war at first.
Right, with self-doubt, with the world's inertia. But it quickly becomes external. The big shift, though, is the realization that you're not alone in it.
Yes, that's it. You start to see the shared human condition. You watch waterfalls of pity roar. That's such powerful imagery, not a trickle, a roaring disaster of sorrow.
And this is the moment where the isolation starts to break down. Before, you might have felt uniquely persecuted, alone. But then you hit that crucial distinction.
Unlike before, you discover that you'd just be one more person crying.
Your unique pain is revealed to be universal.
Yeah.
And that shifts everything. It moves from, why me? I should just give up, to, okay, this is just how it is, and I'm not the only one fighting.
It's a pivot from self-pity to a kind of cynical but communal awareness.
Which leads us right to the first refrain in the fourth stanza. The defensive reassurance to the outside world, to the titular ma.
The title says bleeding, but the refrain really downplays the damage. So don't fear if you hear a foreign sound to your ear. It's all right, Ma, I'm only sighing.
The word choice there is so interesting. A sigh is passive, a release of breath. Bleeding is trauma, injury.
So he's minimizing the internal damage for whoever's watching. He's saying, it's fine, I'm fine, it's under control, even if the philosophical trauma is, deep.
And right after that, he looks at the world again and sees it's completely split. You have those who warn victory, some downfall, the black and white thinkers, the ideologues.
The zealots, the ones who call to make all that should be killed to crawl. They're trying to crush the spirit of anyone trying to be born.
But then, right after that, the stanza gives you a simple antidote, a clear moral truth to hold on to in all the chaos. Others just say, don't hate nothing at all, except hatred.
And that's the first real anchor in the song. If everything else is contradiction and noise, you can at least hold on to that. Reject hatred itself.
It's a moral filter against the zealots. You have to act, but you must not act out of malice. It's the first real rule of the road.
Okay, so after establishing that internal landscape, the song moves outward. Stanza 5 confronts the big institutions, starting with a really aggressive critique of commercialized faith.
The shift is jarring. The disillusionment is no longer a sigh. It's violent. Disillusioned words like bullets bark.
And the words are being fired by human gods. We need to define them. These aren't divine beings.
No, they're people who have put themselves in positions of power, and they've replaced genuine spirituality with, well, consumerism and violence.
And he makes that so clear with the description of their products.
He really does. They make everything from toy guns that spark to flesh-colored Christs that glow in the dark. We have to just sit with that couplet for a second.
The juxtaposition is amazing. On one side, toy guns that spark. Simulated violence, teaching kids to be comfortable with conflict as entertainment.
But the flesh-colored Christ that glow in the dark is even more potent. Why flesh-colored?
It strips away the divinity, right? It makes Christ a marketable object that looks like the consumer.
Exactly. And why glow in the dark? It reduces spirituality to a cheap plastic nightlight. Mass-produced comfort instead of a radical, challenging light.
It's passive. You don't have to look for the light. It just comes prepackaged. Faith becomes a tranquilizer, not a revolution.
And the conclusion from all this is just inescapable. It's easy to see without looking too far that not much is really sacred.
When you can manufacture and sell the holiest icons for a profit, then nothing has real spiritual weight anymore.
Everything is just a transaction.
So we move from commercialized faith to the institutions of knowledge and political power in stanza 6. You get this paradox. Preachers preach of evil fates, and teachers teach that knowledge waits.
But the implication is that both are just tools for getting ahead. Knowledge waits, but following it can lead to $100 plates.
So the goal of education isn't enlightenment, it's just an expensive meal. It's social status.
And goodness hides behind its gates.
Yeah.
True virtue is locked away, inaccessible, hidden by the very institutions that claim to promote it.
But then he delivers this incredible leveling statement, a line designed to remind you that underneath it all, the system is run by vulnerable, fallible people.
The masterstroke. But even the President of the United States sometimes must have to stand naked.
In 1965, with Vietnam escalating, the presidency held this almost mythic power. To say that, to assert that the ultimate authority figure is fundamentally exposed, that's a profound act of demystification.
It strips away the facade, the flags, the speeches, and says the person underneath is just a fragile human being. And think about how he kept singing that line through Watergate, through every scandal. It just proves it's a timeless reminder that power is an artificial costume.
So if the institutions are phony and the leaders are naked, what are the real constraints we have to worry about?
Stanza 7 makes that distinction very clearly. And though the rules of the road have been lodged, it's only people's games that you gotta dodge.
The rules of the road are the fixed things. Mortality, physics, basic ethics, they're unavoidable.
But the people's games are the artificial systems, the social, economic, political structures.
Yeah.
And crucially, they're optional. You don't have to destroy them, you just have to dodge them. It's about strategic navigation.
And because you can dodge them, the speaker offers that second bit of reassurance. And it's all right, Ma, I can make it. This isn't a sigh anymore. This is a quiet declaration of competence.
Yeah, confidence. I can navigate this.
But that confidence is immediately tested in stanza 8, which is the song's most direct attack on mass media and advertising.
This is the primary engine of the people's games. Advertising signs con you into thinking you're the one that can do what's never been done, that can win what's never been won.
It's the critique of American exceptionalism, right? The psychological manipulation that tells you that you and only you are the hero.
The chosen one. It's designed to make you buy into the system, into the dream, and of course into the products.
It isolates you and makes you focus on these grand, impossible fantasies.
And then comes the reality check. It's so cold and brutal. Meantime, life outside goes on, all around you.
While you're caught up in the con, fixated on your heroic destiny, real life, which is totally indifferent to you, just keeps going. It's a reminder to focus on observable reality, not the fantasy you've been sold.
So that constant critique of external forces, the institutions, the ads, the fake gods, it forces the speaker to turn inward. And that leads to these intense themes of isolation and ultimately independence.
Yeah, stanza 9 starts at this really painful cyclical process of finding yourself. You lose yourself, you reappear.
Which suggests that independence isn't a one-time thing. It's a constant deconstruction of the self that was defined by all those external forces.
Yeah.
You have to shed the identity they marketed to you.
Suffer through the vacuum.
And then the true self can emerge. And the result of that cycle is this sudden, paradoxical fearlessness.
You suddenly find you got nothing to fear. Alone, you stand with nobody near.
The fearlessness comes from detachment. If you're already alone, what's left to lose? You can't be manipulated by social pressure. Solitude becomes your shield.
But that hard-won independence is immediately threatened, isn't it, by external validation? A trembling, distant voice, unclear, that startles your sleeping ears to hear that somebody thinks they really found you.
And that voice is so unsettling because external definition is the enemy. Anyone who claims to have found you is trying to categorize you, to define you on their terms. And that threatens the freedom you just gained.
This brings us to stanza 10, which so many people see as the absolute lyrical core of the song's anti-establishment stance.
It's maybe the most powerful statement of identity in his whole catalog. He acknowledges the question of belonging. The question in your nerves is lit, but the answer is fiercely internally negative.
That it is not he or she or them or it that you belong to.
It's a profound declaration of refusal, a complete repudiation of any external loyalty that tries to define or claim you.
And let's break down those 4 rejections. He or she is personal relationships, authority figures.
Right. Them is the classic group. The political party, the social club, the mob.
And it.
Yeah.
That's the most forward-looking one. In 65, it could be the system, the state. Today, it speaks perfectly to algorithms, data, corporate structures.
He refuses to be subservient to any outside entity, personal, collective, or abstract. This is the definition of radical self-ownership.
But I have to ask, isn't this just a new kind of rigid ideology, the ideology of absolute isolation? By defining yourself by what you don't belong to, haven't you just built a new cage for yourself?
That is a brilliant point, and the song anticipates that. It's a necessary detachment, but not necessarily a permanent retreat. The speaker uses this freedom as a shield, and once that boundary is set, he immediately contrasts himself with those who are still trapped.
In stanza 11, while the masters make the rules, the speaker just says, I got nothing, ma, to live up to.
And that's total liberation. Without external expectations, the pressure is just gone. And he contrasts that with them that must obey authority, that they do not respect in any degree.
The conformists. The vast majority who are slaves to a system they despise, but they're trapped by fear or necessity.
Exactly. And because they're trapped and they're resentful, they speak jealously of them that are free. But the ultimate self-betrayal is how they treat their own creativity, their own lives.
Cultivate their flowers to be nothing more than something they invest in.
Their flowers, their passion, their life's work, it's been stripped of all intrinsic value. It's just return on investment now. The purpose isn't beauty or self-expression, it's profit.
They've monetized their own souls.
Which just reinforces why that anti-affiliation creed was so necessary. You have to reject it to avoid becoming just an investment vehicle for someone else.
All right, so the song now sharpens its focus from general independence to the specific performance of politics and morality. It just dissects the hypocrisy. Stanza 12 hits rigid ideology so hard.
These are the political zealots, the ones who are on principles baptized to strict party platform ties. They haven't just joined a party, they've submerged their whole identity in it.
They are defined by their affiliation, the very thing he just rejected, and their social behavior is masked. Social clubs in drag disguise.
That phrase, drag disguise, is perfect. It suggests the whole pretense of community or shared purpose is just a cover for the real goal, which is vicious criticism and enforcing conformity.
This disguise lets them freely criticize everyone else.
But their criticism is hollow, because it's not based on truth.
No, because they tell nothing except who to idolize and then say, God bless him. Their entire purpose is just to elevate their chosen idol and then offer this cheap performative blessing.
It's idol worship. They've completely exchanged thought for dogma.
And that adherence can be aggressive, which leads us into stanza 13 and this really fascinating tortured character.
One who sings with his tongue on fire, gargles in the rat race choir.
Yeah.
This person is passionate, tongue on fire. They have conviction.
But that passion is just muffled and dirtied by the crowd. He gargles in the rat race choir. His fiery voice is choked by the noise of the masses.
He's trapped. He is bent out of shape from society's pliers. The imagery is so visceral. Society has used its tools, its pressures, its demands to physically contort this person into a prescribed shape.
But here's the critical twist, the real knowledge nugget about the psychology of the conformist. This person cares not to come up any higher, but rather get you down in the hole that he's in.
That's so profound. His goal isn't self-improvement. He's so invested in his own misery that the only way to validate it is to make sure everyone else is miserable too.
Misery doesn't just love company, it actively recruits. He wants to drag the free individual down with him.
But the speaker maintains his distance. He says, but I mean no harm nor put fault on anyone that lives in a vault. He's not condemning the cautious or the wealthy, just affirming his refusal to be trapped by these jealous conformists.
And that leads to the final defensive side of this section. But it's all right, Ma, if I can't please him.
He accepts it. He knows his refusal to join the choir will displease them, but their pleasure is irrelevant. His goal is self-preservation.
So we finally turn the lens on money and official morality in stanza 14, wrapping up the societal critique.
The old lady judges watch people in pairs, limited in sex. They dare to push fake morals, insult, and stare.
These are the gatekeepers of conventional morality, obsessed with limiting personal freedom. They push fake morals and use judgment as a weapon.
Their own limitations are projected onto everyone else.
But contrast that fake, preachy morality with the raw, honest truth of money. This is one of the most memorable lines in the whole song.
While money doesn't talk, it swears obscenity.
Money isn't polite. It's a profane, loud force that cuts right through all the fake social niceties. It's the ugly, naked truth behind the $100 plates. It's the only thing that speaks with any honesty.
It's the true unmasked force. And the ultimate summary of this entire external world is a blanket declaration.
Propaganda, all is phony.
That's it. Everything external politics, faith, commerce, morality is tainted by performance and deceit. You can't trust it.
We've reached the final confrontation. After cataloging and rejecting all the falseness, the speaker has to face the one reality money can't buy its way out of.
Mortality. And stanza 15 focuses on those who deny it. who aggressively defend abstract, unseen concepts.
Them that defend what they cannot see, with a killer's pride, security. They defend ideology, false gods, dogma, things they can't verify, with this fierce, violent certainty.
Their whole sense of security is tied to a blind, aggressive belief system, and they prioritize the comfort of having the answer over the discomfort of the truth.
And the punishment for that denial comes when they face the one undeniable reality.
Death's honesty won't fall upon them naturally. This is the shock that blows the minds most bitterly.
Because death is the only honest experience left in a world where all is phony. And because they spent their whole lives defending illusions, the arrival of death isn't a natural conclusion for them. It's a bitter shock that shatters their whole worldview.
And the consequence of that lifelong denial is just isolation. By rejecting the ultimate reality, they cut themselves off from the shared human condition. Life sometimes must get lonely.
That loneliness sets the stage for the speaker's own final confrontation in stanza 16. It's so physical. My eyes collide head-on with stuffed graveyards, false gods.
He's not looking away anymore. He's forcing the encounter. He sees the remnants of denial, the stuffed graveyards, the idols he's been critiquing, and he collides with them.
And this leads to this active physical rejection. He starts to scuff at pettiness, which plays so rough. He's done engaging with the small, vicious games. He's walking right over their rules.
And then you get that incredible image of defiance. He walks upside down, inside handcuffs.
The handcuffs are the societal constraints, the people's games. But by walking upside down, he's already subverting their purpose. He's rendering them useless even before he breaks them.
He refuses to play by the rules of constraint. And the final psychological and physical break comes right after. He reaches a saturation point.
He kicks his legs to crash it off, says, okay, I've had enough. What else can you show me?
He's demanding more. He has accepted death. He has rejected illusion. The system has nothing left to throw at him. That challenge, what else can you show me? That's the sound of total freedom.
And he knows that freedom has consequences. He accepts the danger. And if my thought dreams could be seen, they'd probably put my head in a guillotine.
Radical independence, the total rejection of he or she or them or it, is a capital offense in a conforming society. He gets it.
He's not trying to avoid the guillotine anymore. He understands the price of being born, and he's willing to pay it.
And that leads to the final line, the ultimate conclusion that strips away all the pretense and critique and pivots from aggressive resistance to this serene, irreducible acceptance.
But it's all right, Ma. It's life, and life only.
After 15 dense stanzas of paradox and propaganda and fear, the answer is just existence itself. The resolution isn't an ideology. It's just accepting life in its honest state, severed from all the external definitions and games.
It's the final, hard-won truth. There is only life, and that's enough. Hashtag outro.
So after all that, the key takeaways are pretty clear, aren't they? The necessity of constantly being born, the rejection of false piety, the absolute mandate of independence from he or she or them or it.
And that final hard-won acceptance that there's nothing more profound than life itself.
Exactly.
And we have to circle back one last time to the metadata. The fact that Dylan carried this song with him for almost 50 years, playing it over 700 times, that tells you everything.
It's on all the definitive live albums. Before the Flood in '74, the Rolling Thunder Revue in '75, the 30th anniversary concert in '93.
So why the repetition? Why keep this long, dense piece in rotation when he had so many shorter, easier hits?
Because the core themes are timeless critiques. They're not just tied to 1965.
I mean, can you imagine the moment he's saying, even the President of the United States sometimes must have to stand naked, right after Watergate?
Or the commercial critiques during the rise of the digital age. Every time he performed it, he was reaffirming the need for radical self-definition against an increasingly phony world.
He was telling the audience that the struggle for genuine independence hasn't changed. The deceit of advertising, the pressure of the rat race choir, these things don't get old.
The song is a constant checkpoint, a litmus test for your own integrity.
So why should you care about a 1965 poem today? Because the central conflict is universal. The rules of the road are still there. And games of people, the political trialism, the social media performance, the consumerist they still need dodging.
The struggle to belong only to life and life only is still the highest form of freedom. This song is a practical guide. It suggests the moment you accept your solitude is the moment you get the courage to say, I have had enough.
Okay, so here's the provocative closing thought to tie all this together. The denial of death, the guillotine thought dreams, the paradox of finding yourself by losing yourself.
Okay.
If understanding comes too soon, as the first stanza warns, and knowledge waits as the teachers teach, and you finally land on, it's all right, ma, it's life, and life only, what is the real difference between just sighing and genuine acceptance?
The challenge the song leaves you with is figuring out when you have to patiently dodge the people's games, walking upside down inside the constraints, and when the falseness is built up so much that you have to stop, drop your reserve, and kick those constraints off entirely.
The difference between the passive sigh and the active crash.
That's the difference between just observing life and truly participating in your continuous being born.
And that choice between dodging and crashing off is yours alone. That's the real deep dive.
Indeed.
Thank you for joining us on the deep dive.